Hi, my name is MachineRite, and I'm making sure that you guys understand Fortnite. So what I wanted to talk about today, or show today, is the 90 degree. Basically a couple things of, it's kind of a bit overrated, but I think that it actually teaches a lot of essential movements. Okay, so first of all, with controlling your direction, the way the physics work in this game is right now I have forward momentum, meaning that if I jump, I'm going to go that direction no matter which way I'm turning. So if I turn right now at the last second, it takes a while for that momentum to carry over to that direction. It still wants to go in the other direction. So let me just show you. So even if I turn here, I'm still flying sideways a bit. What the role that plays in a 90 is basically you're jumping up 3 times in a row and catching yourself, or possibly 4 times in a row, but I'm only going to show how to do 3 90s. So when you're trying to catch yourself up 3 times in a row, you don't really want any sideways momentum because you're going to fly off. You just want to jump straight up 3 times in a row and catch yourself each time. And you want to also make sure that you're catching yourself at the highest point of your ramp each time, which means that going forward is going to help a bit for that. And also the ramp is going to slightly push you up, but I don't think that aspect is as important as people make it seem. This platform here I made is kind of a drill to control your sideways momentum. So when you turn, you have to hold a direction button, because that's going to stop you from, when you turn, stop you from going sideways. And I think Bizzle has said that he actually holds the sideways momentum the whole time. You don't need to do that. You only need to hold it for a second while you turn and jump. So like this, and you notice that I am still staying forward. This is the first drill that if you've never held a direction button while doing a 90, I want you to practice this drill, which is basically you turn on the side and you try not to fly off. Right now, hold the key, turn, jump. Hold the key, turn, jump. Hold the key, turn, jump. So once you have this kind of movement down, we can start into the actual build motion. So what I want to encourage everybody is that the first 90 is so important, because if you're off in your timing, like let's say I jumped from back here in this corner and I landed here, landing the second 90, I'm going to be at the bottom of my ramp and there's no way I'm making the third 90, right? What you want to do is you want to perfect your first 90, because that's just going to make everything so much easier. So start off with turning, or getting to this point, stopping, practicing turning and holding your W and A, or you're going to be doing the reverse of this. Hopefully this isn't too difficult to translate. Turning, and like that, using your sideways momentum key, just like you're doing on the ramp drill, or the floor drill down there, like this. And then you want to get your wall out while you're doing this. Press your wall beforehand, obviously. After you get this ramp down, you switch to your wall, boom, like this. And then the next step would obviously be catching yourself with a 98. So after a while of just practicing your direction, eventually you're just going to be able to pick up speed and do it like this. So if you wanted to see the exact way that I'm mapping out my builds, is when I turn here, I'm looking down slightly, I'm placing my walls as I jump, like this. Now I'm going to end up ideally right about here. Next step is kind of optimizing your landing. So instead of jumping from back here, this is going to give you the most time to build. Eventually you want to start to further optimize that, and basically you want to decrease your air time. You want to be able to land on your ramp right away. You don't want any air time at all, and that's just going to make your 90 faster overall. So the way you can do this is just by changing where you're walking. So instead of walking out here, you're going to be walking in the center, and that means when you jump straight up, you're not really going straight up, but if you were jumping straight up, you're landing at you're being caught by a higher point of your ramp, just because you're further in. Whereas if you did it from out here, you can see that I'm landing here, but if I did it from right here, I'm landing at the top. So you want to kind of experiment, find that sweet spot. It's kind of just, if you're building with wood, you look at these two beams here, it's like almost in the center of that. Messed up a little bit there. So yeah, ideally, when you get your first 90 out, you want to be turned right away before you even jump. And if you think about the margins, if you're doing your first 90 absolutely perfect, is very little. So what I actually like to do is when I do my first 90, I'm already turned this way a little bit. So I'm doing like a 90 and then like 10 extra degrees, and then I'm already out. So when you see me do my 90, already turned this way. So let's recap that. Step 1, get your directional momentum good when you're turning this way. Stand at a good center point in your ramp or in between these two beams so that when you land on your first 90, you're nice and high up. And then adding that little 90.5 on your first 90 is going to land you right here. And then what you can do, if you're kind of still fumbling with this, is when you can just do your first 90 and like practice that little 90.5 thing, and then from here you can just turn and build the walls. So like this, and then just build the walls, because you want to focus on making sure you're using the momentum. If you're doing it all at once, there's a little bit of errors that can occur, and you want to practice perfection. And that's going to really be what builds in good muscle memory for when you're doing complicated mechanics like this. So after you do your first 90, and you get your walls down, the timing here is a bit different. So this floor can go down almost instantly. If you're placing a ramp too early, this is pretty much what happens. You do it perfectly now. If you place your ramp too early, like before you even jump, and you're looking forward like this, you're going to be underneath it. So you have to you can't just press all of your builds as fast as you can and have a perfect 90. You have to get the timing down. If you just press all your binds as fast as possible, your ramp's going to get down way too early, and you're going to end up like this. So you have to time your ramp, and you're almost going to be visual about this. So you look, and you kind of look where your character is going to be at the point where the ramp's going to be. You have to be looking down a bit, and you can't wait forever, because then, like you actually just saw there, is your floor is going to go above you, and that's probably the biggest problem people have. But yeah, so you want to wait till you can see your character actually where the ramp's going to place, and you can catch yourself pretty high up the ramp. So with the double 90, kind of like this, just waiting for my character to get to that point. So the next point would be adding in your third 90, which is still very similar to everything else. So when you get to this point, you see that I'm almost midway up my ramp. I'm not perfect. So when I do this, you have to almost give a little bit more time to catch yourself. So what often happens is you end up like this, and you end up like this midair, and what happens is this actually pushes you off, and you end up kind of like this. It's not terrible, but sometimes I end up building a ramp like this, and you can kind of save yourself. Another part of correcting your 90s is just figuring out, looking in what area causes what build to happen. I see a lot of people when they do these metro style 90s, they're like flicking up like this, and you can see that's putting a floor above my head. What I would recommend is just you want to look straight, look down a little bit, and you can just stay like this the entire time. You don't have to look up. You don't have to do this style of 90 where you have to do like this weird circle motion. With the metro style 90s, you only have to worry about your horizontal movements. There's no vertical involved. If you're getting floors above your head, it can be a couple things. So like I said before, with your aiming, you want to be looking down, and it could also be a delayed ramp placement. So if I'm looking forward here, you can see a ramp or a floor does go above my head, but really at that point, if I'm jumping, my ramp's going to be up anyway. So the floor is only going to go above your head if you're at this height. You can see where it shows the preview. If you're at this height and you're still holding your floor and you're not placing a ramp, then that is what's causing the floor. I see a lot of people say, it's like, I don't understand, I'm looking down. It's like, yep, there's a little bit of timing with the ramp too. You have to kind of cancel out your floor. It sucks, but... So I hope this video has solved almost every 90 problem that there could ever possibly be. I had an insanely hard time learning 90s. I'm not mechanically gifted whatsoever. I'm probably the opposite of mechanically gifted. But luckily, through perseverance, I was able to dissect this and show myself how it's supposed to be done. Another moral of this kind of story is to figure out what goes into your mechanics before you just try and copy somebody else, because there's a lot of things that can add to a lot of frustration if you don't really understand what's going on in the 90 or any other build, actually.